Losing great employees doesn't always come with a resignation letter or some dramatic exit. Sometimes it's quieter than that. It's a subtle disengagement or minimal effort or great ideas left unspoken. And here's the thing, your best people don't always leave for money. They leave when they feel undervalued. And if you're not keeping them challenged, empowered, and connected to the larger mission, you risk losing them. Today I'm unpacking how to keep your best employees engaged and thriving. Let's dive in. I don't know one high performer who likes to be micromanaged. They want ownership. They want to make an impact. And they want the ability to drive change. So your best performers want the responsibility to own something, to shape it, and to drive it forward. And as a leader, your job is to keep them engaged, and the best way to do that is to give them something meaningful to own. The best leaders I know delegate outcomes, not tasks. Instead of saying, I need you to complete this, fill in the blank, say something like, you own this initiative. Here's what success looks like, and I trust you to figure out how to make it happen. See, when people feel trusted to make decisions, their engagement skyrockets. Some leaders struggle with this. When they finally delegate responsibility, they either hover, like way too much, or they step back way too far. The key is somewhere in the middle. It's balance. See, and I say that because your job as a leader is to define the boundaries. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about being extremely clear about the objective, the outcome you're looking for, and the non-negotiables along the way. And then get the hell out of the way and let them freaking execute. Here's a couple suggestions. Be explicit about decision-making authority. What authority do they have when you delegate something to them, delegate ownership? Do you want them to do some research and bring you options, or do you want them to own the decision and just keep you updated? You need to be extremely clear about that. You got to give them also the freedom to experiment. If they have to ask permission for every move, they're going to stop taking initiative. And lastly, you got to trust them to solve problems. If your top people are always have to come back to you for decisions, you know what? You're the bottleneck. I mean that sincerely. See, responsibility alone isn't enough. People also need to feel like their work matters. If they feel like they're just going through the motions, you know what? They're going to check out. Or worse, they're going to check out while they're still collecting a paycheck from you. Here's the test. If someone on your team hasn't been uncomfortable in the last 6 months, you're not challenging them enough. Great leaders give stretch assignments, projects that push people outside their comfort zone. I want you to ask yourself, who on my team is ready for more? What challenge can I give them that forces them to think differently? How can I tie their work to a bigger business impact? When people see that their efforts directly contribute to the company's success, their engagement deepens, right? And in recognition from that isn't always about just celebrating success. It's about reinforcing behaviors that create the long-term impact you're looking for. If the only time you acknowledge people is when they hit a big goal, you're missing the full picture. Great leaders recognize effort. They recognize risk-taking and problem-solving, not just outcomes. Here's why that's important. Innovation, in my opinion, happens in the messy middle, right? If people are only rewarded for the final result, they're going to avoid trying new things that may or may not work. Engagement thrives on momentum, right? So you got to recognize small wins to keep people motivated between the bigger milestones. And top performers want to feel valued. And it's not about ego. That's where everybody thinks it goes first. It's about knowing their work matters. Trust me when I say that it's simple, I see the way you handle that challenge today. Great job. Like that carries more weight than an annual bonus sometimes. Lastly, you got to keep the big picture in mind. As a leader, you need to understand that people don't just stay engaged because of what they do. They stay engaged because why they do it. If your best people are starting to disengage, there's a really good chance you haven't connected their work to the larger company mission. Your job as a leader is to make that connection. Here's some ideas. Involve them in a strategy. This has been my go-to move my entire leadership career. I'm constantly involving my team in the strategy. Not only do they see the bigger picture when I do that, but they understand how their role fits into that. Some leaders tell me that that this isn't always practical. All right, well, I'll debate that later. But if that's the case, let me just say this. If you don't include them in the strategy, you have a responsibility to connect their work to the strategy. You got to connect their work to the business impact. You got to show them how their contributions fuel the vision. And lastly, highlight what they can learn from the experience. The best leaders I know are constantly reconnecting people to what excites them. Say something like, I know this feels chaotic and confusing right now, but trust me when I say this, but like from a year from now, you're going to look back on this time and realize that what you're doing right here, right now, is a Harvard Business Review case study on change management or business transformation. And you always said you wanted to lead a massive movement. Well, guess what? This is your opportunity. This project will become the story you tell for years to come. Can you feel that connection the way I just described that? See, it's been my experience that the best people want to be part of something bigger than themselves. Your job is to ensure that they can see that. And here's the bottom line. Keeping your best people engaged comes down to one thing: leadership. Because here's the truth. Your best people always have options. If they don't feel challenged, if they don't feel valued, if they don't feel trusted, they're going to find someone else who's willing to give them those things. All right, if you're ready to transform how you lead, I invite you to download my latest ebook, The CEO Shift: Empower Your Leaders to Think Like Entrepreneurs and Lead Like Owners. It contains practical framework designed to help you shift from being an operator to a visionary, from a problem solver to a growth enabler, and from being in the weeds to actually leading from a higher vantage point. Click on the link in the description if you're interested and start your shift today. If you're not ready to start to think about your leadership at that level, let me at least buy you a copy of my recent book, Freedom to Experiment: How to Ignite a New Level of Energy, Focus, and Momentum in Yourself and Your Team. All I ask you do is to pay for a small shipping and handling fee. Follow the link in the description if you're interested, and I'll personally sign a copy for you. Okay, if you like what I shared today, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below related to your business, and of course subscribe, because each week I'm sharing content to help you and your team embrace change, focus your efforts, and accelerate results. Remember this, you're just one idea away. Hope to talk to you soon.